You heard Footy Fanatics FC live from NYC, and we is back. And I got people from the West Coast. I got people from Virginia. Of course, you know what I'm saying. It's a big game tomorrow. Finally, this international break hype is done. We could watch some good footy. And tomorrow we got really exciting footy. Tomorrow we have Manchester United versus Brighton. Oh man, the Zerbi ball, Ten Hag beef, Sancho week. Y'all see what was going on. There was a lot going on. So tomorrow is like a statement. Tomorrow's a big day for United fans. You know what I'm saying? It also could be a big day for Brighton fans with the Ansu Fati hype. But listen, I got four. I got two Brighton fans and two United fans. And of course, I'm going to introduce the United fans first because, you know, it's biased FC. You get what I'm saying? Obviously, start first with my brother, Cole Knox, man. I got to bring him on stage. Y'all know the GOAT is here. Top talker, top cop boy. Oh, man, this boy is really dangerous.
What's good? What's good? Appreciate you having me on.
Thank you for supporting my channel. Thank you for coming on for one of my second episodes. So, bear with the news.
Gotcha,
And of course, it's my guy, the head honcho. I'm going to have to add my boy himself, Staffy.
I'm jealous that CK got the introduction first, but it's all good. It's all good.
Come on, you the man.
He was like my brother, and I was like, yeah, he's building up to me, and he's like, Cole. I'm like, okay, so I'm second in line. Okay. But listen, if I could be second to anyone, I'll be second to CK. I don't mind.
It's Cole's first time on my channel, so I got to bring him up.
It's true.
We got two Brighton fans, one from Virginia and one, of course, from New York. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna introduce the New Yorker first. I'm sorry to the Virginians, but I'm introducing. You know, we don't thread over here. But my boy Andy,
what up, man? Thank you for having me, Oski. How y'all doing today?
You good? You good? New York City FC colors, huh?
Yeah. So tomorrow is the derby for New York City FC and the Red Bulls, and I'm at a New York City FC event. So forgive me for not having any Brighton kit on me.
No, you're fine.
My tattoo if you want.
You're still representing blue, so you're still the op. Blue is not.
You want to see my tattoo? I can prove I'm a fan.
Oh no, he well, once we go live, I'm gonna need that.
Brighton tattoo is crazy.
Bro, you have to. Let me add my boy Dagan in, and we'll take it from there. Dagan, another Brighton fan. Big beard. I'm gonna call you Big Beard. You're on mute. You're on mute. I got you.
Seagull! What's up, y'all? How you doing?
Yo, boys, thank you everybody for showing up to my channel. I want to thank you guys. This is massive support, so this really means a lot. Obviously, tomorrow we have a good game. You know what I mean? Something that we've been waiting for, and especially we've been looking forward to this Brighton game because we know the excitement that's coming on. So I want to start with the United boys. I'm going to start with Cole. Start this off real quick. What are you thinking about tomorrow? What are you expecting?
I think it's going to be a tough game. I think it helps a lot that we're at home. You know, we've seen that we've performed really well at home since Ten Hag has been appointed. Only lost one game, and ironically, it was to the team that we're playing tomorrow in Ten Hag's very first game. So, you know, a little bit of poetic,
season, for sure.
Yeah, I think a little bit of poetic justice on the table. Maybe get some revenge on these guys for handing us our only loss at Old Trafford. In the league since Ten Hag was appointed. But I think it'll be a tough game, but I mean, I'm confident just because Old Trafford is a fortress at this point, and I think we'll hopefully get a Højlund start, home debut, and just have that Old Trafford energy.
Højlund versus Ferguson tomorrow.
Yes, sir. I'm feeling good. Feeling confident about it.
That's what I love. Staffy, what you saying, brother? Before we get into the juicy things, hey yo.
Which personality you want from me today? You want the level-headed one, or you want the shameless one? Because I
really want the shameless one because it looks like Andy's on his shameless energy. He's getting amped up to let it all out, you know. So okay. I need the shameless one.
All right, how about this? I'll give you a bit of both. The composed part of me is telling me this is a good team. We have players out, and they're very well drilled. They have a very good coach. So it's a team to respect. And the shameless part of me is here to remind them that we eliminated them from the FA Cup. So I'm not here to listen. I respect Brighton, but I'm not scared of Brighton. You know what I mean? But they are a good team. They deserve their respect. I just did a preview on my channel, and I was talking in depth on what to expect from them, what what worries me about them and how we can exploit them. So they're definitely a respectful team when it comes to to the build up to the game. You can't just we're not treating them like a Forest game that we just had at home, where like realistically I wasn't really worried, even though the game went south in the beginning and we were 2-0 down. Brighton is going to be absolutely different. They're actually closer to an Arsenal than they are to a Forest when I look at the game, because they're very well organized and they're a very good team. But I'm confident, like CK said. I don't want to be too shameless and say that I'm not worried, but I'm not as worried, I should say.
And the man Andy.
And those were famous last words, by the way.
Andy, first of all, you might have to introduce him to your Brighton tattoo, brother, because that's all over my Instagram. So I think
you don't want to say that to the end. I don't want you to lose viewers right now.
Do it in the end.
Yeah. That tattoo is crazy, bro. I'm gonna tell you that tattoo is crazy. But what are you saying, Andy? Especially with a tattoo like that, how you feeling? That's a lot of confidence.
To be honest, I mean, look, this isn't the Brighton that first got promoted during 2017. This is a brand new team, almost completely different. This is a team that you got to be worried about, because this is a team in Europe, and we haven't even started. So it's not like we're tired yet. We still got all the energy. We're seagulls. We're soaring high. We're hungry for your chips. And, I think it's going to be I don't know, maybe a hellish day for the Red Devils.
Good, huh? Hellish day
goes crazy.
Yeah, but my man practiced this one in front of the mirror yesterday for sure. My man practiced this one in the mirror for sure. But yo, David, before we get into the juice of things, what you saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think if we're talking about past results, the last 3 Premier League games between these two teams have gone very decidedly our way. I think it's 7-1 on aggregate over those last 3 games. Yeah. Yeah, 4-0 at the end of the previous season. 1-2 at y'all's place last year, and then 1-0 at our place.
We only talk about the Ten Hag era. We don't talk about the Ranić era.
That's fair. But no, I think for whatever reason, you guys have had a hard time producing goals against us, and I think part of that is playing a more compact style, trying to prevent us from breaking free. My hope coming into this game is some of the individual talent that we have up top can make an impact. Because I think we lacked the individual quality in that game that you referenced, the cup match where we couldn't score. We had tons of chances and couldn't finish. And I'm hoping the likes of João Pedro joining us, Ferguson getting an opportunity if he's healthy, and Ansu Fati potentially either starting or coming off the bench, we can puncture that defense and make it hard for you.
My thing is, it's just like as Brighton, like, how do you guys think you guys should line up against us? Like, what is our weakness that you might want to target as fans? Because I don't know. I see it right now as that you technically guys are in a better state. We got state of footy here. You guys are definitely in a better state of footy than us right now. So like, in what way do you guys see yourself like achieving this? That
you can go first.
I mean, I really think it's that. I think we are going to have to possess the ball, but then have that clinical finish that we lacked against you guys previously. I think
you guys right now technically have clinical finishes.
We do. But I think that was what was lacking last year. I'm hopeful that we won't see Welbeck. I'm hopeful that we won't see Milner at right back. I know.
Danny was big for y'all. Danny was big for y'all as much as he was big for us. United boys.
Bro, he had 1 goal last season. Can we not act like he did something that he didn't do? Because I could swear, guys, I had a convo with Omar. Listen, I was on a show with Omar one time. I don't remember when. I just remember having this debate with him where he gave Welbeck props, and I'm like, bro, he had 1 goal.
You don't think?
Let's not act.
You don't think he came big for them?
I swear it was
he had some good moments, but João Pedro is much better.
João Pedro is a different animal.
In that position, behind Ferguson or whoever's playing, he's much better in that position. I think we saw that against Newcastle. Just kind of that switch, I think, was big in terms of just playing that role. I would say that João Pedro is a much better option.
I don't. It's just to me. It's just Danny Welbeck. I think he deserves some respect for what he's done for Brighton playing up top. He didn't bang goals, but I think he offered to the project as much. But yo, Andy, what you saying?
Honestly, man, as long as Harry Maguire's playing, Brighton's gonna be all right.
Well, lucky for us, he's not
I
playing.
don't think he's going to start. Yeah.
So he's
I
not
hope
starting.
not.
Lindelof and Martinez are available, so he's back to
Alright.
the fifth option.
If Lissandra
We
wasn't
got a
fit, then he would be
new
fine.
strategy then.
Yes, definitely, 100%. If that was your only strategy coming in, then I'm happy that Dagan is here because he saved you. Because you came for a different game, brother. You thought this is us from like 2 years ago before we signed Varane and that. But I'll tell you something. I mean, I spoke with Cole earlier, and I told him, I was like, I'm basically looking at Evan Ferguson because not only is he a very good player, very good striker. By the way, United fans. So whenever you guys are ready to give him to us, let me know. With the we'll pay the money. Don't worry. I'm gonna call Qatar. But the thing is, I worry from our center back partnership when it comes to defending more than being on the ball because I rate them both on the ball. Even though Martinez hasn't been performing his best, but what's his name? Evan Ferguson is a handful. He's a big lad. I don't even know how tall he is. I mean, when we talk about him, it's gonna sound very similar to me talking about Højlund because both of them are young, both of them are upcoming, both of them are actually very big for their size. And there's one thing that we don't like about Lindelof is that he gets roughed up. He gets roughed up by players, and that's the thing that worries me because I've seen him get bullied a few times in the past, and I worry that Ferguson could have that. The one thing that kind of calms me down is that I feel like Wan-Bissaka playing on that side where Matoma is going to be. He better lock him up because I think he's their best player. If I'm being honest.
I mean, last game, where was Matoma? You heard what Matoma said? Said that was the hardest.
I mean, in the cup, he held it down very well against him, and not only do you guarantee that now Matoma's out of the game, that's one of the avenues where basically he has to feed Ferguson because if Ferguson, I don't look him at as a player that kind of creates more for himself. He still needs someone to create for him. He's a very good finisher, but he needs someone to supply the ball to him. And Matoma, I think he's the best one in that team in doing that. I rate him highly compared to everyone else. So you kind of keep him quiet. That's not just keeping Matoma quiet. That actually kind of affects Ferguson in a way. And now he has to rely on Solly March, who is not bad at all. He's just not quite Matoma. You know what I mean?
Solly March and Pascal Gross in like August and September though, they're like the best players in the Premier League. I swear.
They're always good to add an FPL. I'll tell you that. Add an FPL, you're flying.
Literally like just the output, and then I swear every beginning of the season they just start the season on fire.
And Cole, how do you think we should lock these Seagulls up?
I think it'll be interesting to see.
Definitely got to chip their wings.
Yeah, I think I'm looking at the right back. I'm looking at the right back position for sure. Their right back position. Whoever starts, whether it's Veltman or Milner, I'm looking for Rashford to really exploit that. I'm looking at their center backs in terms of their ability to defend wide areas. They like to press really high, and they often leave Dunk and whoever's playing in that other center back like kind of 2v2 if the press is broken. So I'm looking for the likes of Højlund and Rashford to really exploit that as well, and just those wide channels in general when they're playing very structured, almost like robotic kind of build up, 2-4 build up with the two center backs, and then the fullbacks pushed really high and wide with Gilmore and Gross in the middle. And if we're able to win balls back there, those wide channels are very kind of susceptible to be exploited against, which is kind of our one of our biggest strengths in terms of like transitions with Rashford and Højlund and Bruno. And so I think if we're able to, stay compact, stay organized, and win balls at timely moments, I think we can have some good chances.
But the thing to me is like I don't know. Tomorrow I feel like it's an Ansu Fati day, right? Personally, I think it's one of those days. So it's like one of those situations where I don't know what to expect. It's like, is he going to start? Is he going to play ball tomorrow? What's going to go on? And obviously, La Liga's and the Prem are two different things. So what to expect from Ansu Fati himself? You get what I'm saying? And especially him and Matoma, I don't know how I feel about that, bro. Right wing, left wing, and then Ferguson up top. And then, like you said, João Pedro played a 10. How is United going to be able to stop all that? But I want to see what the Brighton fans are thinking about Fetty anyways. Are you guys happy, excited about Ansu? Do you guys want to see him start? Like, what is that a piece? Is that a piece that you guys are missing? And you go.
I mean, yeah, man, he's obviously an incredible player coming from one of the best clubs in the world. He's a great addition to the squad. Brighton, I mean, honestly, man, no matter what position we lost a player in, Tony Bloom was always able to find the perfect replacement, and it's, thanks to his system that he has. So yeah, it's definitely a great addition to the squad, man. I think that, like you said, yeah, having him on the right, having Mateo on the left, and whether it's, I mean, yeah, Joe Pedro, I would like to see some more consistency. We just got him, so it's early on in the season to say whether he's going to do better than Welbeck. I mean, hopefully, right? Hopefully he'll score more than one. But yeah, man, it should be exciting. We just got to see how they mesh together, because you could be a great individual player, but if you're not a good team player, you may not get the results you want.
And are you happy seeing him on the starting lineup?
Yeah, well, yeah. I can't remember if he played in the last game, so I feel like you got to integrate the player into the squad slowly. You know what I mean? Even if he's a legend, you got to let the game go on and then bring him in once it's got the rhythm.
And Dagan, what you saying?
I'm curious to see whether he starts. I think we'll be likely to see Fatty more centrally, especially if he starts the game. I don't see Matoma or Marks not starting the game. So I think those two are locked into their spots on the left and right wings, respectively.
And then who does he play? He play in the back. He plays with Gilmore, and who's next to Gilmore?
Gilmore and Gross.
Okay.
And there's talk that Baleba is looking good and could see action already. So that's another new signing that'll be interesting to see where he figures in. I think he's the player, if we're fearing the counterattack as much as Cole referenced, and I think we are susceptible to that counterattack, Baleba is the Caicedo-like figure. He's not quite Caicedo, but in terms of athleticism and ability to track back, he offers that. And
That's the Uruguayan kid? That's the Uruguayan kid, or am I?
What's that?
Is that the Uruguayan kid or no? He's Uruguayan.
Wait.
Baleba is the one who came from France.
France, okay. So, because I know you guys signed an Uruguayan kid who's like filthy.
You're talking about Enciso, I think. I don't think he's
I think he's Cameroonian. I think he's Cameroonian, Baleba.
Yeah.
But you guys got from the U23 tournament, this World Cup over the summer. You guys signed him.
You didn't get him.
I thought it was official.
Diaz. Fabricio Diaz is who you're talking about.
Fabricio Diaz, there you go. That's
I was in love, man. I was in love. That kid is electric.
That kid is. Oh man, I thought he was signed. Yeah, so my apologies on that.
No, I wish. I wish.
And thinking now Brighton, but like look at the Brighton, bro. Like this is what I'm saying. Like look at the Brighton recruitment compared to ours. Like you see that one player gone, and they already have a second, a third, and a fourth backed up.
Yeah, that's thanks to
money to work with.
They have a good structure. They're not like us, bro. Let's be honest.
And that's what drives me nuts.
That's why when people tell me like
United cannot follow.
I mean, we haven't been that good, bro, and it's very. I mean, it's been very evident as of recent years. This is why, listen, no disrespect to De Zerbi. I think he's a very good manager. But people who think that De Zerbi is better than Ten Hag, and if he comes in, he's going to do a better job. Listen, you're more oblivious than I thought, because De Zerbi will come into this team and fail just like every manager has failed in the last 10 years. The thing that made De Zerbi thrive in Brighton, not only him being a good manager, he came into an established team, an established club. They have a structure. They have a style of play on the pitch that was very similar to Graham Potter, which is why when he came in, he found it easy to just like take over and continue the job. Brighton has been this club for the last few years. They're probably one of the best teams to get promoted in recent. I wouldn't even say recent years. In I don't know how many years. Because as long as I've been watching the Prem, I've been watching the Prem for almost 20 years now. I don't remember a lot of teams that come up and do so well. Leicester was kind of like that, but even they got relegated. Wolves has kind of been like that. But definitely you look at Brighton, and they're a team to study. Sorry, not a team. They're a club to study, because they know what they're doing with their managers and with their players, because they have very good, competent people running the club in terms of financials and football. They already sent it, and I promise you, they already know if De Zerbi ever leaves, they know who's the replacement. Because you might be thinking that as a Brighton fan, Why would De Zerbi leave? He's not leaving anytime soon unless he gets like a really big job. But when you think of it, they know that they will come anyways. So they have option B, C, D, and E, and F. Same when it comes to players. Caicedo leaves, they have the replacement. What were the players that left in recent years? Bissouma left. I think Caicedo was the replacement to Bissouma. Actually, in 2 years, they went in 3 years, they went from Bissouma to Caicedo to the new guy that you guys just mentioned that I'm not going to attempt his name because I might say it wrong. But you know what I'm talking about. You know, a lot of players have left Brighton recently. McAllister, Cucurella,
Trossard.
Cucurella gave way to Stupinian.
And he gave away to Stupinian. And Stupinian, I promise you this, Stupinian might end up going to Chelsea to replace Cucurella for 100 million or whatever. That's how good Brighton are at finding talent. They are already sitting there and they're like, you know what? We'll get this player as soon as the other one goes. You know when it's a store and you have like the shelves and you take one and the other one slides down? That's how it is. That's how it is in Brighton. The one player leaves, they already know who's coming after that because their recruitment is so good and they know how to bet in players perfectly. So they're a very, very well-run club.
It's a super well-run club. But the thing is, the one thing I got to give them is that I was watching actually an episode with their CEO, and he was talking about they already have everyone lined up. So the minute they signed Potter, they knew De Zerbi was their next option if he was still available. It's that crazy. Like, okay, he plays similar style ball that we want. This is the exciting style of ball and so forth.
That's what good clubs do, Omar. That's what we haven't been doing.
Now, you just said it. That's what good clubs do. But look at bath time over here. He's comparing them to Sunderland, Ipswich, Swansea, and Southampton. Obviously, none of these teams are still in the Prem. Sunderland, at what point the Black Cats actually had some excitement. Southampton, too. Swansea, their first year under what's his name? I forgot his name when they had Jordi Gomez and all them men. And they had Mitchell. Remember that times? And then they went and got Tammy Abraham. So there was a point where they were actually very interesting. You know what I'm saying? But do you think that their model kind of is similar to that? And especially, obviously, the Brighton fans are going to sit here and be like, oh, hell no. But United fans, because this is something I always do, because I actually big up the Brighton project big time. It's a very interesting project because it's one of those projects that every year just got better and better and better and better. It's not like they had a hiccup, you know? It's always got better and better. Like, we have ups and downs. They're just going on they went from just getting to the Prem to almost getting relegated to now they're basically last year almost fighting for top 4. Finishing in Europa League, I think, is still massive for them. So do you think that's true that they're following this model? And then obviously they're going to get a time where they're going to pull a Chelsea and have bad hiccups. But Cole, what you saying about that?
Yeah, I think that the Brighton model is a lot more sustainable. Did any of those teams, I know Swansea had a decent run with like Jonjo Shelvey and Gylfi Sigurdsson and players like that. Did any of those teams ever make Europe?
No, I don't think any of them made Europe.
So I mean, I have to do more research on that, but I mean that's just one thing right there. Like
I don't remember Sunderland playing because I don't remember Sunderland ever playing. I don't think Swansea. I don't think Southampton. Ipswich. I don't.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on Ipswich whatsoever.
I was gonna say saying Ipswich is crazy.
That time, if you could fact check what year Ipswich made that the European ball, please, you could drop your comment on that.
Yeah, I think this is something that probably Brighton fans have to deal with all the time, saying that like everyone's saying that you guys are like overrated or it's like this whole new thing. But I mean, the proof's in the pudding. Like you guys win games, you guys have qualified for Europe. You guys are clearly a very structured, like well-built, organized.
CK, they have a brand of football, CK. It's so simple to say. They have a brand of football.
But then
even on the pitch and off the pitch too. Like not even just like the identity of football, but just like the way the club is run, just kind of how you said. It's just it's like an established Premier League team. Like a top, obviously not top big 6 level, but like it's an established team. You know when you're playing Brighton that you're playing an organized team that's gonna make you really, really work for 3 points. You know, no one's just gonna lay down and they're never just gonna lay down and just like, okay, yeah, here you go, 3 points. It's not like we're walking into Brighton and it's like an easy game. Like this club is serious. This team is serious, and I don't think it's like an overrated thing at all. I think you just are just a well-run, established team that deserves respect, in my opinion.
And Brighton fans, do you guys like Andy? Do you feel like? No, of course. I feel like they deserve the respect they've been receiving. It's not like and I feel like they're one of those teams that just move in silence. They don't,
Yeah, just pick
you know
up
what I
balls,
mean? Like
man.
they just moving, literally just moving solids. Like, oh, I'll catch you next season. Oh, but how do you guys feel about your project moving forward, especially with a game coming tomorrow? That's a big game, and like, it's just like something that you guys see like a season like last season. Like you got, do you really feel like you guys could beat us tomorrow, for example, at home? Oh, that's a lot of confidence there, brother. I don't know, Diggin. You might have to fix your face. I don't know how I feel about that. It's a lot of confidence
Diggin,
there.
you want to answer? You want to answer first, bro?
Sure. Sure. I mean, you said could we? Absolutely. I mean, looking at the teams that finished ahead of us last year, we took 15 points off those teams. The 5 teams that finished ahead of us, we took 15 points off those teams. So we played those teams even. Where we got into trouble was against teams that were below us in the table. So we've shown that in big games against big teams, we are there. We're still trying to figure out how to play against that low block and teams that just sit back and pack the box against us. And I think that's what I was saying earlier about the talent that we have now up front is different. We lost a little bit in our midfield, losing 2 outstanding players. I think if we can fix that, we're going to be in business. That right back spot, like Cole mentioned, is a weakness. I really hope we see Veltman. He does better against sort of speed first by using his sort of physicality. But I'm really optimistic. I'm really optimistic going forward. Can I drop some numbers? So that history that you were talking about. So Tony Bloom has been the owner of Brighton for 14 years. Only one time in that entire 14-year period have we dropped by more than 2 positions from one year to the next. Only once. We had 1 year, new manager, didn't go well, got rid of him, kept ourselves up, moved forward. But it's been, as you said, like a steady, slow climb. I went on shows last year talking about I thought we were going to be top 6, and people talk all about the big 6 and sort of impenetrable. That big 6 isn't the top 6 right now. They're just not. Chelsea is not a top 6 team. They may be a big 6 club. They're not a top 6 team. Someone else is going to fill that void. Villa looked like they could be that team. We looked like we could be that team coming into the season. Spurs are looking better, but they haven't played a ton of tough games yet. But and they're getting scored on like we are. So it's going to be interesting to see who can stop the bleeding in those games when we come up against the other top teams. But right now, I think Brighton is one of those top teams. People just aren't used to it yet.
Andy, where's the cavalry? Where's the excitement that he was ready to blow when I said you guys are optimistic? I don't see them as much as that they're good. In fact, as much as they're a good. That pause was crazy. As much as they're a good, you know what I'm saying? I really feel like we could batter them up tomorrow. I really feel like we could batter them up tomorrow. It's the Brighton hype. Like they have a hype behind them, and I get it. Well-ran club, great signings, young boys coming in. You get what I'm saying? You look at the whole squad. There's barely a couple that maybe 2 or 3 experienced players, right? But I just don't think they have what it takes to sustain this run of football. You get what I'm saying? And I feel like tomorrow's going to be a test, especially that they have Europa this year. They have Europa, Carabao, FA, and then the Prem.
Yeah. We got a lot on our plate. To be honest with you, man, I mean, something you guys were mentioning earlier about Brighton having this consistency and whatnot. Tony Bloom, before he was the owner of Brighton Hove Albion, he was a gambler. So his job for a living was to take risks. And he was so good at it and became so rich to his father, who I think was like a ticket sales rep for Brighton Hove Albion, used to take young Tony to football matches. Tony one day said, you know what, I'm going to buy this club. And he started injecting money into it, and we became one of the most successful clubs. Why? Because the owner was someone from Brighton who loved it. And why is he so good? Why is it that every time a player leaves, we're able to replace him right away? Because Tony Bloom has a system, and nobody knows about it. It's like a secretive system that if you have your job, you don't know what anyone else does. You don't know what your coworkers do. You sign an NDA, so you can't speak about it. But they have their own little gambling system where they see, okay, if we sell Caicedo, which player in the second division of Ecuador can we buy that's going to fill him in? And then we can resell him for 3 times to Chelsea. And that's what they've been doing. Does it work every time? No, it doesn't. I don't know if you remember Jahan Bash. 2018, we paid like 16 million for the top scorer.
The Iranian
guy,
the Persian guy, right?
Yep, and he scored 0 goals for us that season, or maybe 1 goal. I can't remember. So it's just an example. It doesn't always work. but the times that it has worked in recent years, it's been working phenomenally. So that's why every time a player leaves the club, we're able to replace them. And just to give you another example, Brentford, the owner of Brentford, used to work under Tony Bloom. And he was like, hey, Tony, he was like, I kind of want to know what you got going on. And Tony was like, wind your neck in, bruv. Like, you don't need to worry about it. He was like, really? I'm going to go start my own. And now look at Brentford. Brentford's on the come up. Mark my words. Maybe you heard it here first. Brentford might be the next European-bound team. But that is a little bit of the secret to the success of Brighton and how come every time we sell a guy, we're able to replace him like nothing.
It's crazy how they do have the same system. Brentford is another team that you got to keep an eye on. I don't know this betting system that people are talking about, but do you agree with the Brighton boys? Do you think you'll get relegated with that system? Because that's something also to keep in mind, because that's one thing that's been going on. It's that relegation talk for you guys. That the Brighton hype is gonna all derail. Boom, come down.
I mean, relegation could happen to anybody. It almost happened to Everton. I do worry about it the way that we worry about everything in life. You never know. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. So I hope that now that we're in Europe, it doesn't overwhelm us, because that's when you can see a team struggling with their, even Brighton, for example, 2018-19 season, we made the FA Cup semifinal, but we almost got relegated that season. So it's like, is it worth it sometimes? But only time will tell. Inshallah, we'll find out. I'm going to say no, though. I'm going to say we're going to be okay for a few years.
Too much quality to get relegated. You have way too much quality to ever be. Even if they pick up a few injuries or like
the way that they're getting rinsed. And granted that they're still getting money pumped in, but we've seen a lot of clubs with also a lot of quality get, go poach their players.
Yeah, but they don't stumble into quality, Omar. They recruit quality. There's some of the teams that were mentioned earlier, they stumbled into this quality. Like Michu, he was a one-season wonder. There's a reason why he's referred to as the streets won't forget, because he was a one-season wonder. He was, and I swear he was older in his age too. I think he was 28, 29 when he had that.
Was he really a one-season wonder though, or is it just a bad system?
Have you heard of it? The last time I saw him, he scored in Sir Alex Ferguson's last game in Old Trafford when we won 2-1, and that's it. We haven't seen him again. He's 100% a season wonder. That's why a one-season wonder. That's why he's just memorized for that. But they didn't stumble in these guys, because they didn't stumble into a striker who, first of all, how are you Spanish and you're playing for a team from Wales? That just means it's just a pure coincidence. He should have never been there. If he were any good, he wouldn't have been there. And he was pretty old. Like, he wasn't young at that time. When we talk about their players, we're talking about young players. They know, listen, with all due respect to Brian, they know their place in the Premier League. They're a team that got promoted about six years ago, 7th year now. They tried to establish themselves as a Premier League team. They've done it well, and then they start going higher up the table. Now they're kind of flirting with that top 6. In the past, the past 2 years, they've been flirting with it. Now they're kind of establishing themselves as, they're the Everton / Spurs of like the past decade, where they used to be there, not quite as good as the traditional top 4, if you guys remember that, but they were just right there behind them, waiting for someone to drop off so that they could take their spot. The fact that we're having a relegation talk about them right now, I think is very disrespectful, because we should be talking about them if they can consistently maintain the level that they're at and actually be a little bit more ambitious and start fending off big teams away when they come in for their talents. I see no reason why they can't be a consistent top 6 team. And when I say top 6, I mean, Dagan, you said it perfectly. There's a difference between the traditional big 6 in terms of the size and the stature of the club and the top 6 that just finished top 6 in the table. And you guys are just there and thereabout now in the past couple of years. And I think is a better chance of you guys probably getting Champions League in the next year or so, probably this season, than even having a debate about you guys being relegated soon. Because I know the one thing is you guys have to sell, because you're not, and this is where the word big 6 is very important, because you're not big 6 in terms of financials. You still have to sell players. But once you start making revenues, once you start being allowed to spend more and getting those European spots, let's say as a hypothetical, you guys win the Europa League. I'm not saying you guys are the favorites, but let's say you do win it. That's a guaranteed Champions League spot next season. And if you finish Champions League and you go into the summer and you're recruiting a few players, there's a few players that wouldn't mind playing for Brighton, knowing they'll be in Champions League. Because I'll tell you something, there's a few players that didn't mind being in the team, knowing that you play the Europa League. So getting Champions League football, I think, will be very, very big for the club. Because I think, to me, it might be that, all right, now we're ready to take that next step. Now we don't need to sell our Caicedos every year. We don't need to sell our Cucurelas every year. We don't need to sell our Trossards every year. They have to finish top 5. Not top 4, top 5
No,
takes
top,
you
I mean,
to.
of course, but top 4 should always be the aim.
I mean, it doesn't. I mean, winning the league should always be the aim. Let's be honest. But this whole top 4 became a thing just because of European spots. No, the current era that we're in, and now it's becoming a top 5 thing. What's the difference between top 4, top 5? You know, so it's about to be a thing, which means more European spots. If I'm being very honest with you, I don't see a reason why Brighton can't finish in the top 5 this season. I didn't predict them to, but I'm definitely not sleeping on them. Like if there's a dark horse that could finish in the top 5, I think it could be Brighton. Because you look at Newcastle, they have to cope with European competition, and I'm not gonna lie, they don't look good. They didn't start the season well.
Pool.
No, I didn't say over Liverpool. There's 5 teams, Omar. 5 teams.
I know, but
they can afford to finish behind 4 teams. And if I could tell you, if you told me name 4 teams that are playing better football than Brighton or will have a better finish than Brighton, I'm looking at City, I'm looking at United, I'm looking at Arsenal, I'm looking at Spurs, I'm looking at Liverpool. That's 5 teams, okay? Could they sneak ahead of one of them teams? I think they could. Why can't they? Why can't we have a drop-off year? Why can't Liverpool have a drop-off year since they didn't sign ahead? The only teams that are guaranteed, by the way, ahead of them, I'm just going to finish with this. The only teams that I think are guaranteed to finish ahead of them are City and Arsenal. I think those are the only 2 teams that are too good to drop off at this moment. But Newcastle's looking like they're dropping off. So the spot is up for grabs for them, in my opinion. But go ahead, Cole.
No, yeah, I agree. I think people seriously underestimate the club and the team as a whole, and I think that can work to your advantage. I don't think you have the advantage right now where people, like, when the schedule comes out, you know, when they see Manchester United, they're circling. When they see Liverpool, they're circling. When they see Brighton, even though they maybe should circle it, they're not necessarily like, okay, that's going to be a tough game, but they're not necessarily circling it. And so you can come in and, like, you know, take advantage of that at some points, especially against the teams. And like, what'd you say?
No, I got to give it to both of you guys. That's a great breakdown because my fault, and you could go on. It's just because now and I guess the Brighton fans could agree as well. When I see Brighton, I'm like, damn, we got Brighton. Oh, is it away? Are we at the Amex Stadium? Or oh man,
it's just gonna be annoying. You just know it's gonna be like,
it's like you say, you circle that game. It's like, okay, like it's not like back in the day, easy 3 points. This is like, damn, they might fumble our bag. You know what I'm saying? But go on.
No, yeah, I was just saying you could take advantage of teams sort of kind of overlooking you at some points and coming in and kind of surprising a few people going away from home and just jumping on someone, and, you know, just kind of getting those 3 points, you know. And I think, you know, it's not, obviously it kind of sucks to always be, like, you know, overlooked in some way, but I think it can also, like, work to your advantage.
And how about do you both see yourselves running top 4? That's the question.
I mean,
Go ahead, Andy.
No,
you could both go ahead at the same time because this is both interesting facts about. Do you really think the top 5? Because Sav had a great point. It is top 5 this season, and that would be massive. Or even winning the Europa League. Is that something that you think you guys could handle this season, other than playing us tomorrow?
I mean, we're the second. I think the second best betting odds right now to win Europa League. Now I know some of the Champions League teams will come down, so that could change. But we're behind Liverpool.
If you win the group,
right?
You could avoid that. You could avoid that if you win the group.
So we're second behind Liverpool right now in the betting odds. So I think that's an avenue that we'd have to say is at least somewhat realistic if Vegas thinks it's somewhat realistic. And then in the league, right? We finished 6th last year. We fared again really well against the top teams. So if we can just clean up our business against some of the lower teams and do just as well as we did last year, if not better, against the top teams, we can be there. We have to knock off one of those teams, like you said. So I'm a believer. I was on Fan Zone last week. Leroy Rossignol had a moment of pause when I said I think we're going to Champions League. And then he said, you know what? You look at their players, you go, down the lineup. Why couldn't they be that team? And I think a lot of people are having conversations like y'all are having about Brighton, where it's like when you look at the sum of the parts and you see how those parts are put together, how they're used, how the system is employed, it's beautiful football. And I think the fact that we're continuing now, people are seeing that and we're attracting players, that Ansu Fati was willing to come here. I know he's on loan, but he was willing to come and play in Brighton. Says a lot about the stature of this club in the world right now. And so, no club that broke through was big until they became big. City was a joke, 10, 12 years ago when they broke through. Now, they had a sudden influx of cash, and that certainly helps. But we have a billionaire owner who is smartly executing a system.
He is. No, he really is executing a damn system over there, bro. It's getting too out of hand.
And it's incremental growth. So I'm a believer. I was a believer last year. So I just became a Brighton fan last August. I did a ton of research. I looked at all of, it's a long story, but I did a ton of research.
What was it? What was it that made you a Brighton fan?
If I had to distill it down to one thing, it's Tony Bloom. When I read his story, when I read what he was about, when I read what he was doing, and then looked at the numbers, I was like, this is a team that's being built for success. It's sustainable. It's a model that's working. Nothing's foolproof in this world. Andy, you made a great point. But if I were laying betting odds, and I'm a bit of a poker player too, that was the team I'd put my chips on. People told me last year, you're crazy. There's no way they're doing better than ninth. And I told anybody who would listen, we were going to be better than ninth. I'm telling people this year, I think we'll finish as well as we did last year, 6th. And I don't think Champions League is out of the question at all. I'm not saying we're going to get there because there are some adjustments to be made. But if our midfield, if Baleba is close to what is being said he could be, we're going to be there. We're going to be right there all season long. And last year, we were never below 9th the entire year. 9th was as low as we were at any point in the season.
That is deep though. It really is peak when you look at it. Like, this is crazy. And especially with supposedly Baleba is going to be better. It is the next Caicedo. So if he does fill those big boots, it's something to keep an eye on. But Andy, do you think you're finishing that top 5?
Yeah, man. I mean, every year since I became a Brighton fan, I've been telling people we're going to win the league. I would never, like when USA's in the World Cup, who do you think is going to win the World Cup? USA. I will never not back up my team, and that is the most honest answer.
There's no realistic hopes. Going to win the league is crazy. You sound like us United fans at this point.
I mean, yeah, man. I'm never going to say I think another team is going to win. I mean, even if I know the reality, I would still back up my team until the end. That's just the way I feel about my teams. And can I also just say, I think it's amazing that we're even having this conversation, because I don't know if you guys know this, but a few years ago, like many years ago, Brighton was almost extinct. It was almost a club that wasn't even being talked about. Back in the 80s, they were in League Two. There was one game that they just could not lose. They get scored on, and in the very last minute, towards the end of the game, Brighton score, and the other team, I think it was Hereford United, ended up getting extinct. Guys never heard of them because Brighton killed them, and it could have been Brighton. And then they went to League One, and then they went to the Championship, and eventually the Premier League. So the fact that they're in Europe, the fact that we're even having this conversation about a team that almost didn't exist, I think that is so mind-blowing, and that is the beauty of football. That's why it's the beautiful game.
Yeah. It was 1997, 26 years ago.
Okay, thank you, man. Yeah, you did your research recently. I've been.
You both came with the research. You both came with the research with all these specific facts. Cole, tomorrow, big day. Stupien in the back, of course. Dunk. Is it Webster who starts too as a center back or no? Who starts next?
What's his name? Bende. What's his last name?
Van Hecke. That's where I put my money. I'd bet on Van Hecke tomorrow.
And then on the right,
he looked good against Newcastle.
Who plays on the right? Veltman.
Probably. I hope so.
So
I hope it's not Milner.
Against that front four, Cole, right? How should we line up? Especially with attacking. I know like Stupien and Staffy, y'all both know how I vouch for that guy. But anyways, he's super attacking. Him and Matoma on that side are they technically play up top. So how to maneuver, especially with that, and especially now that we don't have a right wing other than Palestri. And I know Staffy's going to get hot for this take. And especially with the Sancho things going on, how should we line up that front three? And not alone the front three, that middle three, because I feel like Brighton is a team that we need to control possession. We can't just like sit there and, I think we need a whole ball.
Well, we've seen Ten Hag is a very, very adaptive manager. He's not opposed to switching things up for certain games. We've seen, against Forest, we're very aggressive. Our line is basically Lisandro Martinez and Varane are sitting, in possession far in front of, basically at the center circle or even above that, in possession, just kind of coming back at them. And then against a team like Arsenal, we're very much reserved. We're, even against bigger teams like City, he deploys Bruno on the right wing and has Fred track KDB. So he's very adaptive, and he can do a lot of different things and implement game plans that, show results. If we do play the front three, I think Pellistri is going to be that guy. I don't think Bruno is going to be. I don't think he'll deploy Bruno right wing. Just because I don't think, with all due respect to João Pedro, Billy Gilmore, and Pascal Gross, they're not KDB types where you have to deploy someone to sort of man mark them and shift Bruno out to the right wing position. So I think we'll see a midfield three of Bruno, Casemiro, and Eriksen. And then if we do play the front three, I think it'll be Pellistri, Højlund, and Rashford. And I think, as I said before, just those wide areas, I think, is going to be the key to exploiting them. Not only do their fullbacks push high and wide and attack, but their center backs really struggle to defend wide areas in terms of their just like athletic sort of deficiencies. You're not going to find a lot of center backs that excel in those wide areas. So I think those are going to be the channels in which we can, really exploit them. And you said control possession. I think Brighton are very good with the ball. They have very structured, robotic passages of play. Like De Zerbi has these guys drilled to keep the ball and have many, many options on the ball in terms of avenues to play. And we've seen United do a really, really good job controlling games without the ball. We saw them do it against Brighton in the FA Cup. I think we did a really, really good job. Brighton had a lion's share of the possession, but I think we did a good job kind of controlling their chances and not really, you can have the ball but not really be controlling the game. So I think we've done a good job of that against Arsenal. I thought we did a good job of that. We've done it against bigger teams and teams that like to control possession a lot. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Ten Hag take a little bit more of a pragmatic approach to this game, just be really compact and really structured and really organized, and then try to use our strengths, our athleticism, and our ability to break and also win balls higher up the pitch with our press, try to create chances that way.
Is Amrabat playing tomorrow, or is he hurt? Because I remember Staffy also, right?
He's out. Yeah, he's out.
Yeah, he said it's nothing serious though, I'm guessing.
Yeah, he said it's short notice. I'm sure I think he'll be back next week, maybe for Bayern in the squad, and I'm pretty sure he'll be back on Saturday. Is Ferguson fit? Do you guys know?
He's back in training.
Okay.
But I think there's a question if he's fully fit or not.
Okay.
Staffy, what are you saying? How should we line up the goals?
As CK said, the lineup picks itself anyways. We don't really have the luxury.
It was a great breakdown.
Our bench is going to look shitty tomorrow. I'll tell you that. I'd rather have Umar on the bench tomorrow than the bench that we're going to have, because there's no one on the bench. Well, that's not a bad thing. You're going to be on the Man United bench. That's better than it.
Like I'm the steward.
You know what, bro?
Like yellow standing there making sure there's no pitch invaders.
You're ahead of me and CK in the pecking order, so that's actually a compliment.
I appreciate that, bro.
But listen, the team picks itself. We don't really have options. The only question was going to be whether we play Bruno on the right and then McTominay plays in the middle, or do we start Pellistri? Because I don't think he rates Pellistri like that, if I'm being honest. I don't think he gives him enough minutes. He's had him for a couple of years. He's loaned him out. He brings him back. And he feeds off scraps of him, being honest. He doesn't really get a lot of minutes. The thing about, by the way, his name is not Estupiñán. For somebody that you vouch for so much, his name is Estupiñán. You know,
Stupinian.
yeah, and you butcher his name. You
Andy,
love
what's
him
the
so
Spanish
much,
way?
yet you.
Andy, what's the
Huh?
Spanish way? And is it stupid? I thought it was stupid.
It's Estupinian because he has the Spanish N over.
An accent
We're
over
both
the
wrong.
A, I
And
think.
So we're both
so
wrong. We're both.
Estupinian.
Well, how am I saying it wrong? I said Estupinian. He said Estupinian. Like
No,
you
no,
just
it's like-
changed the accent.
Yeah.
You just
like
removed the
accent doesn't
letter.
matter as long as you say it. Yeah.
Listen, Estupinian.
Super baller. I just know he's a
as-
baller. That's
There
all
you go.
Listen, as much as you like him, he's not good defensively. And I was talking to Colt earlier, and he mentioned when they lost to West Ham, it was that Jared Bowen goal that exposed all the space that he leaves behind him. And I think if he's not wary tomorrow, he could cost them a goal as well, because you don't go to bigger teams and play the same way. Listen, you can attack all you want when you're playing good slow blocks, but when you're playing a team that has much more quality on the pitch and they can hit you on the break in any moment, you're going to have to be a little bit wiser with how high up the pitch you are. And he's great going forward, but I think he's a liability when it comes to defending. That's just my honest assessment of him. It doesn't mean he's a bad player by any means. I just don't rate him defensively at all. You know, so if Palestri plays in behind him, that's a lot of space to exploit. And with Hoyland also being on the pitch, he's going to be very interchangeable with both our wingers. So I think the back line for Brighton tomorrow is going to have to be very wary of the speed that we have, even when they don't have the ball, because they have midfielders like Bruno who love that diagonal ball. Even Eriksen and Casemiro do it from time to time. So there's gonna be a lot of space to run into, especially that Luis Dunk is not the fastest center back at all. So he's gonna have a handful himself and his partner dealing with Hoyland. So Stupinian being very good going forward might actually play in our favor if he's not wary and he's not about, I would say 5-10 yards deeper than he usually is. What's that?
I think if we start Palestri too, it could be easy food on that side.
I wouldn't say easy food, but because like Palestri's not a world beater. He's a good player, but he's not a world beater.
He's direct, and I feel like that's something.
It's not that he's direct. He does position himself very well off the ball. That's one thing I've noticed of him. And when he gets the ball, he already knows what he wants to do. That's the thing about him. Like he doesn't get the ball and he thinks too much. He knows I want to go around my defender and find a pass or a cross. You know, so it's either a cutback or a cross. So he already knows what he's doing. That quick thinking, and for a winger to know how he wants to approach the game at all times, that kind of saves you a few seconds on that decision making that some of our wingers already lack. So he might actually be the best one to feed the ball into. I almost said Haaland. I would love to have Haaland in this team. Hoyland. So that's one thing. That's one matchup I'm going to be looking forward to. I think Palestri will be tracking back. He'll be doing all the things that Anthony used to do, that used to get him out of jail technically, because he was just so bad going forward. He didn't have the GA, but he kept the shape well and he tracked back and he did all the stuff that the manager likes, all that working hard stuff. I think Palestri can do that. He just looks. He reminds me a lot of Antonio Valencia. You just put him on the pitch and he just listens to the tactics very, very well. So that part doesn't worry me. But that's going to be an interesting matchup to look at. Also, listen, no disrespect, Rashford always cooks two people. He always cooks Ben White and he always cooks Veltman. These two guys, they just get nightmares of Rashford. And Veltman will be on Rashford tomorrow. You're thinking about it, Dagan, but no, like he just always gives him he's a handful for Veltman, you know?
What do you think?
So that's no, hold on. It's just a matchup that I think they need to be aware of, because
he cooks a lot of people, to be fair.
It's not a shame to be cooked by Rashford. Look at Ben White. He had to switch teams and he's still getting cooked, you know? So it's just, we have two interesting matchups when it comes to the fullbacks, because they have one fullback who's meant to be a little bit more defensive in Veltman, a fullback who's meant to be more attacking in his opinion. So it's going to be definitely interesting to watch tomorrow, you know?
Just before the Brighton guys go, I think the first 10, 15 minutes, I think we have an opportunity to really set the tone in terms of our aggressiveness. I feel like the past couple games, getting to second balls and stuff, we just haven't been. We've been a step behind. So I look for us to be I look for us to kind of assert ourselves a little bit more and set the tone in that first 15 minutes. If we get an opening goal in that first first 15 minutes, I think, is a good benchmark to kind of set and like just get on them really quick, and not have them have an opportunity to settle into the game.
Brighton boys.
Mhm.
Ben White getting cooked, Velton getting cooked. You know, that's.
I mean,
that's
Ben White is not in their hands anymore. They don't have
I
to
know,
worry
obviously,
about
but
that.
he's not on the roster anymore. But I'm just saying, like, we're basically saying it's about to be a field
That's
day.
basically what I said.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But what do you think would be the best way for you guys to line up against us?
You want to go first, man?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Andy.
I mean, honestly, dude, I don't know because we have so many players. As you guys started talking about your lineup, I was thinking in my head, and I don't know because do you play Estupinian on the left? Do you play Solly March on the left? And then are they a left winger or do you have a left back and a left, and then a left mid? And then on the right, it's kind of like, is it Veltman? Does March switch over or is it Ansu Fati? So, I mean, honestly, man, I couldn't really tell you. I trust De Zerbi more than I trust myself. So, yeah, all I know is that if you look at the last few matchups between Brighton and Man United, it's a good time to be a Brighton fan, and I hope that we can keep that luck going.
Yeah, I mean, Cole, I think the points you made were.
Go ahead, Dean.
Cole, I think the points you made were right on. I think if Man United's going to win this game, it's going to be because they hit us in the mouth in the first 10 to 15 minutes. That was my fear against Newcastle. Newcastle had a couple of chances earlier. We looked shaky at the start. They didn't capitalize. And then we found our footing and we ran away with that game. That's sort of who we are as a team. The game that we lost inexplicably to Everton late last season, Everton got a goal in the first 30 seconds, and then our style of play didn't work. We couldn't draw them onto us at that point. They could sit back. And that, if there's a weakness to De Zerbi ball, it's that. It's if we don't score first, we're in trouble because teams won't come onto us at that point. So that the counterattack, I think, is what I fear as the game wears on, where I think the goals will come. So I think it's one of those two places where you guys can really hurt us. It's like you said, hitting us in the mouth first 10 or 15 minutes. We give a ball away carelessly, and you guys break out and score. Or we're packed into your end trying to get a goal, and the ball gets loose, and your guys are filling spaces. And Rashford is Rashford, and he's electric out there in space. When he's got a one-on-one, he's as fearsome a player, as there is in the Premier League, I think. I'm happy to give you a breakdown on who I think is starting if you want it. But
of course, go ahead. Feel free.
I think we'll see a Stupinian left back, Dunk, Van Hecke, Veltman. Probably still Gross and Gilmore in the midfield pivot. And then I think we'll see Matoma and March at the two wide positions. The question mark for me is which two of three we see of Ferguson, João Pedro, and Ansu Fati in the middle. I don't think we'll see Welbeck start tomorrow, but I'm never shocked because I never think we should start Welbeck over those guys. And I know we have to some of the time, but this feels like a big game in the standings or in the table. It feels like a big game. And so I found Welbeck to be much better coming on late as a sub, especially when we have a lead. There's more space on the pitch, and he can convert in more space. Ferguson doesn't need there to be a lot of space to squeeze a shot off and finish, as we saw in our last game. He creates space both vertically and laterally. He moves really well laterally across the pitch into open spaces. So I hope we see Ferguson healthy, although the Pedro Fati tandem centrally and being interchangeable in the 9 and 10 spot is tantalizing to think about.
No, it is. It definitely is. And I guess Andy's going to agree to that same lineup because he said whatever De Zerbi puts out there, he trusts. Whatever De Zerbi puts out there.
He's the man. Yeah, he's the man.
I feel like De Zerbi is pretty cautious, though, in terms of like Ferguson
No,
doesn't even start a majority of the game. Obviously, even though he's your best option up there, like with Ansu Fati, his injury history, I feel like he wouldn't just throw him into a start away at Old Trafford like his first game. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he said there was a quote in the press conference that made it sound like he's going to play and suggested he might start. His goal for him is to have fun. And I just think coming out as a starter at Old Trafford, like if his goal is for him to have fun, that sounds like a lot of fun for a guy. Welcome to the Premier League moment. Like, I don't know. The kid's a superstar, right? Like, he's made for this, allegedly. I can't wait to see it, whether it's coming on as a sub in a close game. There'll just be something special, I think, about a start, but maybe they'll save that for a home game.
For sure. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
It's a fair question for sure. It's exciting, man.
And predictions, Cole. What is predictions you think tomorrow?
I predicted 3-1 United. I think the first – I just feel confident, man. I don't know. I think that first 15 minutes we'll get a goal, maybe even 2, and then they'll respond, and then we'll when they're pressing, kind of like I can't remember if it was Andy or said it, that when they're pressing for a goal, we'll break and put the game away. So that's kind of how I see the game, but it could be 2-1. I could see us winning 3-1 or losing 3-1 too. So it's just like I'm never like super confident, but I do feel like, especially because we're playing at home, I think we'll pull it out.
And who's your one to watch? Both teams. Give me a one to watch.
Obviously, a Ferguson play. I really want to see the Ferguson-Hoyland battle. So I do. As much as he's a threat against us, like I just love watching like that sort of stuff. So if Ferguson plays, definitely Ferguson. If Fati plays, I mean I love Ansu Fati. So him. For us, my guy Hoyland. I'm pretty sure he's going to start.
No Palestri.
I expect him to back. Nah, Hoyland's the guy. He's the one, bro.
Yeah, he is. He's giving us. He's giving. Staffy. Let me hear it. Because I love
the prediction. I'm still gonna say 2-1 United. Said it on multiple shows. But see, guys, right? This game can go anywhere from 3-1 United to 3-1 Brighton. I think it's really gonna depend on that first goal of the game. Because I think one of their weaknesses, and I think Dagan, you said it perfectly. Brighton, when they're down, that's probably their weakness because they kind of approach the game they play the game in one way, in my opinion. They're not a team that even when they score, they like to sit back. They'll just keep possession of the ball and try to press you more and try to get more goals, which is why when you look at their wins, I think their scores so far where they won 3-1, 4-1, and 5-1. And they've lost one game to West Ham. What was it, 4-1?
3-1.
3-1? Yeah, you guys lost. So every game is a big score, which shows you when it's going bad, it could go worse. And when it's going good, it could go better. So it's going to be very important for us to get that first goal tomorrow. Because we kind of, let's be honest, we kind of like to sit back at times. We choose our moments. When do we want to press? When do we not want to press? The worst thing to do, United, is force them to press. Because our press is still not the best. Some of our players are not really fit for the system yet. Some of them need replacing. Some of them are good. Some of them are not. So it's the worst thing for us to concede early. We did it against Forest, but we're not going to get away with it if we concede early to Brighton tomorrow. The last thing you want to do is come out of your shell and be forced to attack against Brighton because they're very good on the ball and they're good when they're countering. So it's going to be very important for us to get that first goal because now the game is on our hands. We could sit back a little bit. We can afford to hit them on the break, which some of our players thrive under, or, we can keep the press on them and they still know that they got to go and get a goal. So I want the game. I want the cards to be in our hands, and that is by scoring an early goal. They're one of the teams. There's some teams that you don't want to score early against, but they're one of them. Because it's going to force them to attack us for the whole 90 minutes. That's not necessarily a bad thing. So I'm going to say 2-1 and be optimistic.
And who's Staffy's TV's one to watch? Both teams.
Like a matchup or a player?
No, a player. Like who you were excited to look for? Like for example, I was there. I was really excited for Amrabat. Hoyland like Cole. I'm on Cole. Hey yo. Pause that.
Yeah, Hoyland 100%. He's debuting.
Hoyland is obviously, especially after the Arsenal game, like that's who I'm really. But
it's his home debut. It's his home debut. I think he actually gets a goal. I think he needs to get a goal because we need to go into that Bayern game midweek with something to look. We need something positive. We had a lot of negative going on.
We need momentum. We need to pick up some momentum.
This soap opera United that we were for the past 2 weeks has killed us. And the best way to get over that and to start moving on is to get one of your young talents that you just signed score on his home debut before a big game against the German Giants. I mean, that sounds like a good scenario to me. So if he can get on the score sheet, that's definitely going to be great for everyone, especially for himself, and to build up his confidence. And one to watch for them. I mean, listen, they have a lot of good players. I will be excited to watch Ansu Fati, not because I think he's going to do great on his debut. Hopefully he won't. But he is a good player that we watched the last couple of years at Barca, and that number 10 that was being given to him after Messi left and all that definitely built up a hype, and his injuries kind of killed him. So I'm kind of interested to see how he'll do at Brighton, and if he kind of like gets his career back on track and fulfills that potential that people have been talking about the past few years for him, if it wasn't for his injuries. So I'll be interested to see that. If especially, I'll tell you that if the game is close and he brings them on, that's a whole different ball game. Because I was telling CK earlier, we are that club that when everyone needs a goal, listen, they always put it on the bottom, like hasn't scored in 2 years, boom, goal. They haven't gotten a win in 17 months, boom, win. Stuff like that. So they're gonna put. I'll tell you something. If Ansu Fati comes on and they put on the bottom that his stat that he hasn't played 2 full games, he played only 2 full games in the past 2 years, something like that. If they put something bad, negative about him, he is scoring. I'm telling you that right now. So hopefully they just put good stuff about him. Don't put anything negative, because if they said he hasn't scored since whatever, it's over. He's coming on, scoring the winner, and there you go. Brighton win, whatever, 1-0, 2-1, whatever it is, the score.
Andy, what are you saying, bro? Because I know you got a FIFA tournament.
Score predictions, man. I'm gonna say 5-0. Kaoru Mitoma hat trick. Goal from Joe Pedro.
The serious one. I want the serious one.
I am serious, bro. All right, 7-0. I'm dead serious on the 5, bro. And Man United player I'm most excited to watch, Mason Greenwood at Getafe.
I'm actually having a show about that next. But what in the world? Yo, that's the 5-0. Yo, thank you, Andy. Thank you for sure. Let me get a realistic one. Let me get a realistic one, because that 5-0 was crazy. That's disrespectful.
Yeah, I agree. I really do agree with Staffy. I think this game's going to come down to who scores first. Maybe this is wishful thinking, but there's been a lot of drama around this Man United team over the past several weeks, and I can't help but imagine there's going to be some unease, some tension in the crowd, just a little something negative in the air, waiting for something bad to happen because it feels like bad things are happening. So I'm hopeful for a early Brighton goal, going up 2-0. Man U chases the game and gets one back. Brighton holds on for a 1-2 win. The ones to watch that can really turn the tide: Jared Gillett, Chris Kavanagh. That's who I'm watching.
You just named the refs.
Of course I did.
Because I heard that. I was like, wait, I could swear that's the referee's name.
I was trying to clock. Are those like super subs?
I was literally looking at it like he really named the refs. Not to name VAR. One to watch is VAR.
That is the one to watch, though. That is the one to watch.
Did your research.
He really did it. I personally think it's been. I'm more on the Cole side, and I'm not on no Andy side. Just a heads up, because if that does happen, then boy should have played the lotto and hit the Mega Million at this point. But I agree with Staff, and I can see with Cole. But I personally think Højlund is going to be the centerpiece that we've been missing. We've been missing a solid number 9, and to finish all this off, I just think when I seen him against Arsenal, his hold-up play was great. He was a physical unit. Like, the kid's a unit. You get what I'm saying? Like, he's strong. He's fast. He gets into positions that's where we need him to be. And I feel like depending on who plays right now, if it's Bruno, if it's Mason, or if it's Pellistri, hoping it's Pellistri, because I feel like as much as I don't mind, as much as I hate seeing Bruno on the right, but that does come with a lot of perks as well. But that makes me, now that Amrabat is out the middle, then your only option is to play probably Pellistri on the right. But to me, it's just, I feel like he's going to bring more. You're going to see more of Rashford and more Pelesi just coming in, with Højlund being the focal point. So, you know what I'm saying? That's my thoughts on Ramp It Up. And, of course, the one to watch is Ramses. That's my guy. I can't wait to see what he brings to, its home debut, rocking the shirt. So it's definitely going to be massive. But listen, boys, I appreciate y'all for coming into this. It means so much.
Thank you for having us on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Please let the fans know where to find you. I'm going to start with Cole. This guy's a bro. If you guys know, you guys really have to follow this guy's Twitter. He just drops gems and gems and gems and gems as much as Staffy does. So they're just two, I'm telling you, right hand, left hand. If I go to war, I know who I'm taking.
Appreciate you having me, bro. Yeah, just at State of Footy on YouTube and Twitter. You can probably, I'm sure Omar will put in the link. Yeah, just find me there. Appreciate you having me as always, bro.
No, thank you, bro. Thank you for showing up. Big man Staffy in it. 1K subscribers on the way. Please, if y'all watching this, please make sure y'all subscribe to my boy's channel. He almost at 1,000. He's about to hit 1,000. I see my boy grind the past 5 weeks, and it's beautiful.
Bro, these guys playing with my name, bro. Like, get me to 1K already, man. I've been telling them all day, and these guys are being stingy with the subs,
So close. You're so close. You're almost there.
Big up to my Brighton boys, because they just subbed to me earlier before the show. So everyone copy them, learn from them, even though they're going to lose tomorrow, but learn something from them. But listen, man, big up for having me. You can find me on Staffy TV, right there behind me, shining like ever. And if you would have removed that comment, you'll see right here. Actually, remove the comment because I'm ready. Remove the comment.
My bad.
There we go. Staffy_TV right there. I was ready for it. And yeah, get me to 1K subs. Make sure you're liking the video on the way out, guys, if you haven't already. Omar's obviously grinding here as well. He's trying to grow his channel, and get back on the grind. So people who say, where's Gandalf on my channel? Well, I'm on Gandalf's channel today. So like sub to my channel and sub to Gandalf's channel, because we're both going to be, rotating channels.
I'm Gandalf, then what's Dagan? I'd just love to see that. I don't know what they would call him.
You know what? Actually, I've been wanting to make this joke.
Take him on your channel, see what he's getting called.
Wait, Omar, I've been wanting to make this joke. You know what I noticed? I love this about the Brighton guests that we have here. One has the hair all the way down here. The other one has
we can have a nice
each other.
Combo, yeah. That's good stuff. Hey, I appreciate y'all talking a lot of sense. Seriously, like representing that big six, talking sensibly, and not just being dismissive of other clubs. That means a lot. Like I felt very welcome. It was great talking to y'all. But like I know Brighton fans listening to this will have a lot of love and respect for sort of the knowledge that y'all brought about Brighton. And I think the way you talked about your own team in the game. So just tip of the cap, man. Really a lot of fun.
Neil, thank you, bro. No, you definitely spoke some great words. So thank you for that. And thank you for the great words. Please let the people know where to find you too. Because a lot of people are looking for Brighton fans right now. So look at them. And especially, what I love, a lot of Brighton fans are American, because American Express Stadium and ting, so a lot of them are actually American. So that's something beautiful to see.
Yeah, well, you can see my handle there, BHA Fan USA. I'm on Twitter mostly. I think I've made whatever the Instagram thing was that happened for a minute, but I don't really mess around there. You can find me on Albion Obsessed podcast. I'm pretty much a regular there, and I'm always game to come talk about our beloved Seagulls.
Mr. Andy, FIFA Man of the Year, 5-0, 7-0, talking about Mason.
Yeah, Andy Bahania is the name. The Neck of Throgs. I'm, trying to steer away from social media a bit, but you can find me on there. And since I promised I'd show you guys my tattoo, I'm a man of my word. Here it goes.
Yo,
you don't like Brighton? Kiss my ass.
That is actually insane.
Yeah, thank you.
You're done twerking.
No, I'm not fucking twerking. No, hell fucking no. I got a girlfriend. She's probably going to watch this. I can't, totally ruin my family's reputation.
That's crazy.
This man said, if you don't like Brighton, kiss my ass. Well, with that, I'm glad we finished off with this. But clearly, we're not Go Hard United fans yet. We need to step our game up. You know what I'm saying? Compared to yo, please, Dagan, I hope in a year or two I don't catch you with a tattoo on the other cheek.
That is a safe bet right there. We talked a lot about betting. That's a safe one.
Clearly,
not gonna happen.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. Boys, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us on, man.
Andy, thank you so much for the Rated R for the Brazzers account. You know what I'm saying? I truly appreciate that. All right, yo, boys. Footy out. Yanks Talk Football. Catch y'all next week. You heard?